I'm going to do a little video on this Leambe Amazon foam airplane. The one I bought is a P-51. I like the color scheme, and that's one I picked. If I had to do over again, I might try to find the Spitfire, or I think it's a P-47. I've been told they fly a little bit better. Take off. You can take off from the ground. I was never successful in taking this thing off from the ground. You can see it immediately. One of the I guess mounts for the fixed gear busted off, so I just took it off and started landing it in the grass at low speed, and it's fine. So overall, 110 bucks on Amazon. I don't think you can go wrong. Super fun. Even people who've never flown an RC plane before can fly it. I gave it to my son. He flew it. I gave it to my son-in-law, who's a pretty experienced pilot, a real pilot, like holds a pilot's license. He flew it. He had a ball. Fly it into a tree. It's been in the trees 4 or 5 times. I flew it straight into a power pole yesterday, which is why the nose is cut off. My wife flew it. Had a ball. I'm gonna let my grandkids fly it. Anyway, here's some of the things to deal with. I wanted to do a video on this specifically, but also it comes with 2-blade and 4-blade propellers. I ran out of 2 blades pretty quick, but I noticed yesterday when I was flying it, I probably put 4 or 5 batteries through it yesterday, that the 4-blade, it would pop one blade off. Well, what I did, instead of pitching or throwing away the propeller, I just clipped off the other propeller, or the other blade, on the opposite side, and it flies fine. I've probably put 3 or 4 batteries through it like this. Doesn't perform quite as well, but it still flies, and still fun. And then what I'm going to do here is a couple things happened. If you could see there, that's the motor mount. There's a couple of I don't know what you'd call them, backbones or spines that go through the fuselage, all the way back, probably to the into the empennage, or clear to the back, but I'm not really sure. But I know that you can see them there. It's like a black line that's parallel to the motor, and they look like they're the same as what's in the ailerons and spars through the wings and in the stabilizer. And what I noticed is when I would put the prop back on, there was play in the motor mount. You can see it's moving rearward there. So what I'm going to attempt to do is reattach the flanges on the sides of the motor mount, or gearbox flanges. I'm going to try to reattach them to the foam, and then replace all the spongy foam that used to be around the cowl, and down under the nose, with some new foam that came from the packaging. So I took a razor blade and I cut off so that the bottom is flat and that the nose is flat, and I'm just going to glue on some new pieces and then shape them so that they're like the original, and then fly it. And I'm going to fly it until I can't fix it anymore, and then I'll probably buy another one. But I'll come back and kind of show you the results. So the way I'm going to do this, I don't know if it's the right way, but it's a way, is I'm going to use this Starbond gel CA glue that I have. I've been told that CA glue is not the proper glue for this foam, but because it eats it away. But I think as long as you cure it quickly, it seems to be okay. This is the medium thick, and I've used a lot of it, and it's never failed at the glue joint so far. So when I put this thing all back together, that's what I intend on using. Plus I have the Starbond accelerator that I use as well. And that's what I'm going to do. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that gap up. You can see there's a gap where the flange on the side was affixed to the foam initially, or maybe a manufacturer. I'm going to pull the motor mount forward, and then I'm going to use a probe like this with glue on it, and I'm going to force the glue sort of back between the foam and the plastic, and try to get it locked down. All right, so here's my first run at adding new material back in there. I had to cut a little further back in order to get down to the good stuff, and I created a pocket for the spar that goes through the fuselage. I don't know if it's a spar or what you would call it, but maybe a stringer. I don't know. Anyway, that's my first run. I had initially been trying to cut with a razor blade, a new razor blade, but I found that hacksaw works pretty good. I also found out why these guys this is an 18 tooth that I'm using in here, and works pretty good. I don't think I've cut any sewer pipe with this thing, but I guess it doesn't matter. 18 tooth works pretty good. I figured out why those guys invest in those foam cutting machines, because man, it would be a lot cleaner if I did that. But anyway, back to work. All right, so this is where I'm at right now. It looks like the foam I'm using maybe is a little more open. It's actually the packaging material from the plane. It looks like the CA actually wicks back into it just a little bit. Maybe that has to do with me using the accelerator, because it's pretty thin. I don't know. It didn't do it as bad on this side, but it still did it. This shaping the foam, I used a belt sander, my benchtop belt sander, and then I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get my handheld belt sander. I think it worked pretty dang good. I was careful to make sure there was a port there for cooling air to ram back and flow over the motor. I noticed that the original design had that, so I made sure to put that in there. It actually flows all the way through this cavity, which is removable, through the battery compartment, all the way to where you pull this little doodad out, and you can actually see down inside there where the receiver and the servos for the horizontal and vertical stabilizer are, below the aileron servo. I'm hoping that CA glue doesn't screw up the weight and balance. I don't think it's enough to mess with it, but I guess I can always trim it, or maybe add something to the tail. I don't know, but nonetheless, I got to have the nose, and I got to have the motor mount rigid, and it's now rigid and straight. So I think mission accomplished. I'm going to finish up the nose cowling that I cut off, and then finish shaping up the front end, probably by hand. Ridiculous. All right, so here's where I'm at. I got the nose on. It's a little crooked on the front, but I think I can take care of that with some sanding. So I'm gonna try to keep it in frame here. Obviously, I'm probably gonna go to hand sanding it when I get a little closer, but I'm just getting the gross off of there. I love this DeWalt sander because it's a DCM 200 band file. The belts are cheap, and there's a lot of speed control on it. You know, you can turn this thing way down, and get the amount, how quickly it takes it off, especially if you're working with real fine stuff like styrofoam, which is what I never envisioned I'd be doing this, but here we are. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put any like putty on it or what. I guess we'll see how it flies. I can't imagine aero is super important as far as this thing moves, but it's about all I'm going to do as far as the belt sander goes. I'm going to do the rest with a sanding pad, like a sanding block pad, one of those foam ones. This is what I was talking about as far as the foam ones. You can get these wherever. This is a fine. You can get them in all different varieties. Ooh, I don't like how that started. Just using real gentle pressure, because otherwise it grabs like it did right there and tears a piece of the foam out. Like I said, I don't think this is the ideal foam to be using, but it's what I had handy. Also didn't help that I was using it on the edge, which is a dumb idea. It's pretty good. I'm going to try to address the corners here, make it a little more factory, a little more rounded. And the only other thing I got to do is open this hole up a little bit, let the air through there, and then I got to address the shape of that hole, because there's a plug that goes in there and also a motor mount that, like a dummy, I forgot to screw in before I got to working on this. Anyway, I'm looking at it that I'm probably going to just immediately fly this thing into a tree anyway, so doesn't really matter. Alright, so here's the finished product. I think it's aero wise, it's probably good enough. Looks okay. I think it's super strong, but we'll see what happens. Well, it's not showroom, but I think it worked pretty good, and the performance between the 2-blade and the 4-blade is definitely considerable, as far as climbing, and also like recovery if you're gliding and then like a missed approach. You pour the power to it and it just immediately starts to climb. So anyways, I'll leave a link to the to this plane in the description.